Well, stocks rallied big time into the close after Fed Chair Janet Yellen announces that the Fed, they're going to keep rates right where they are. But she did hint at a possible rate hike, possibly in December. I want to bring in the panel now, John Hilsenrath, Danielle, DeMartino Booth, and Shah Gilani. John, I want to go to you first. Now, when you posed your question to Janet Yellen, you brought in the political ramifications of this. Donald Trump, of course, has been pretty vocal about this Fed being in a tank for President Obama and Hillary Clinton. Were you satisfied with her answers?
Well, you know, I got what I expected to get, which is that she said pretty emphatically that the Fed is not political. It's not playing favorites in this election. That I believe them when she says they don't talk about politics in these meetings, because we get transcripts of the meetings. They come with 5-year delays, but we would be able to see that if it showed up at some point in the future. So I don't think she's lying about that. I'll tell you one point that I wasn't totally satisfied about. I asked her if the Fed is going to, if it would consider raising rates at the November meeting a week before the election. She said every meeting is a live meeting. I don't think anybody believes that. I think November is off the table. If they're going to move rates this year, it's going to be in December. They're staying as far away from the election as they can. Right.
Just to remind the audience, it was George H.W. Bush who blamed the Fed, more specifically Alan Greenspan, for not being aggressive enough during the recession, not lowering rates, and he said that cost him the election, Danielle. You see politics playing a role in this at all?
I do. And you know what's interesting is if you look back in history to when Paul Volcker ran the Fed, he also suffered the equivalent of what Janet Yellen suffered today, which was mutiny. A lot of what occurred in the meetings when there were many, many dissents against the chairman were redacted in the transcripts. So
Really?
So and this is what I hear from people who were inside the room. Not even the transcripts truly reveal everything that goes on inside that room. Even they're scrubbed a bit. Well,
today's decision was a 7-3 decision. It's obvious that there's a lot of dissent and a lot of different readings on the economy. What I thought, Shah, was intriguing is the Fed themselves put out a revision of what they see the economy and inflation doing. How do you go from GDP before being 2%, now for the year being 1.8%, and somehow you see the economy growing at the same time? It's contradictory on its face.
It's typical doublespeak coming out of the Fed. And if you look at the statement, and there's some very strong positives. They cited the labor market's continued strength. They cited the economic activity has picked up from its modest pace. They cited solid job gains, and that household income and growth was expanding. So why not a raise? So this is what I don't understand about the Fed. They promised 4 rate hikes back in December, and they've made only one.
Their words or their actions? Which one is a better reflection of the economy? The fact they didn't raise in your mind because they know that maybe this is happy talk, or which one is a better reflection?
It doesn't matter what the Fed says ever. It only matters what they do. And they have no intention of raising rates. They may raise in December, but they'll probably find another reason to move the target.
Right. John, you know what I find interesting is that with this whole the talk about dissent and mutiny, if the Fed does not hike rates in December, you've got 4 new members, voting members coming on. They're going to get rid of 2 of the more hawkish members. And by the way, Rosengren, who was a dove but also was a dissenter today, maybe Janet Yellen gets a better grasp, control of the Federal Reserve, but maybe also this pushes any rate hikes further out.
Well, she does have a committee next year, which is going to be easier for her to manage. I don't know that she definitely faces a lot of division right now. I don't know that I would call it a mutiny. When Paul Volcker faced a mutiny in the 1980s, these were governors appointed by Ronald Reagan who he threatened to resign over their dissent. She had 3 dissents today, but she had 7 people going with her.
Right.
Well, I'm going to have to call time out for just a second, John. And if you look at the dot plots, and I'm sure you studied the dot plot, I think that she could have had a much more damaging dissent from the doves. And we haven't seen a dove dissent since 2005. Excuse me, we haven't seen a governor dissent since 2005. And I certainly think that Brainerd and Tarullo would have dissented, if not also Powell today. And that would have been much worse optics for her to have governors, a number of governors dissent, which hasn't happened in years. And there were 3 dots that call for 0 rate hikes this year.
By the way, that inside baseball, folks, the bottom line, I guess all we need to know is that there is a lot of dissension within the Federal Reserve. Guys, you and I, all 4 of us, we could talk about this all day, but we've run out of time. Thank you all very much. You are the 3 best anyone could have on this topic.